This is the first motor race ever held on the National Mall. It's a $250 million spectacle that's being fast-tracked via Trump executive order, bypassing all standard environmental and historical preservation reviews. So we can have, I guess, Indy cars, street racing on the National Mall.
It's like bread and circuses, but the bread is too expensive to afford, so you just get the circuses.
It's the circus.
I mean, what? Like, this is the Make America Great Again, is to have Indy cars drive.
You tear down the house, then you put up the rent. You pocket the cash, and you crush all dissent.
Hello and welcome to the Red Diaper Pail episode 27. We are recording on March 2nd, 2026. This is a podcast about art, culture, history, politics, technology, and parenting from a left perspective.
And I'm John Paul.
We have a lot of news. Oh, do you want to make small talk?
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Why are you so tired?
I don't know.
Is it because the dog is having demented episodes in the middle of the night?
Sundown, they like fucking Biden.
Our dog is Joe Biden. Well, it was a big long day because it was a kid birthday, so it was a big long day. Big long day.
Yep.
And it's only Monday. All right, let's get right into the horrible things that have happened in the last week or so, shall we?
Yeah.
There was an extremely long State of the Union.
That is a horrible thing.
That neither of us really
we did our duty to the podcast and did not watch a fucking second.
No, I barely even got heard any audio clips.
Yeah. It's just at this point it's such bullshit theater I can't even imagine.
Yeah, he's so gross.
Yeah. And here's a woman whose daughter was stabbed on a bus. Now let's have a national debate about whether this makes the Democrats hypocrites or not. For applauding, not applauding, whatever.
I don't know about women.
Right, good. You should know. I mean, it's the most asinine political discourse.
I don't want to know. What I do want to talk about is
horrible, long-standing, tyrannical regime has been subjected to a flurry of propelled ordinances from people who believe in justice and freedom and democracy.
Snowball fight in New York turns chaotic after police arrive. 2 police officers injured. Is that what you read?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So there was a snowball fight in New York City. People threw some snow at the police officers. And Mayor Mondani is getting heat because he did not condemn adequately, and adequately participate in the criminalizing language against the young people throwing snowballs at the police.
Yeah, at least one of them was arrested.
And then let go because they were not going to press for assault because it was a snowball.
Your family, they were enslaved, forced across an ocean, made to build wealth for plantation owners, subjected to Jim Crow, subjected to mass incarceration, treated like subhuman by every authority in the country to the present day. You complain about that, you're a fucking snowflake. But if you get hit in the face by a fucking snowball, these are trained police officers getting hit in the face with fucking snowballs. And we have to hear about this for weeks. We have to hear about this.
I didn't even see anyone get hit in the face. I saw a couple people get hit in the back of the head. I had to walk the children home from school today. That is not on my duty list. I got snow in the back of the head at least 3 or 4 times. And I did not
Are you pressing charges?
I didn't arrest anyone.
Do you shove them down?
I did not
turn
around and shove them down. The PBA president, police bureaus, whatever, the patrolman bureau, whatever the bullshit police union. This was not just a snowball fight. This was an assault by adults throwing chunks of ice and rocks. By dismissing this incident, the mayor has sent a disgraceful message. So Mondani got asked about this over and over
again.
And it's like they clearly have some sort of gotcha. I don't know what did you want him to say? Let's execute them in the street. And he didn't go there. He made a joke about how They should throw all the snow at me. I really do think this was just a snowball fight, but it's so gross. It's disgusting.
Why are they going down there to break up a snowball fight? That's the question everyone needs to ask themselves.
Did they go down there to break up a snowball fight?
They did. They went down there. There was an organized, like, one of these apps where you do, like, a crowd.
Wait, they put themselves in the middle of the snowball fight and then got mad that they got hit with snow?
They went down and said, you can't do this. You're in the middle of Central Park and there are people around. You're not allowed to have a snowball fight. And then they got pelted with snowballs.
Oh.
So either there's not a single brain cell amongst all of the leadership of the NYPD, or they knew exactly what they were going to get.
Yeah, they wanted to have, they wanted to have a fight with
because they wanted to,
kids of color.
They wanted to make Zoran look bad.
And then,
so this is where I mean, imagine where they're going to go to next, but this is what we have to hear about with the fucking snowballs.
And his appointment, Tish or whatever, broke rank and backstabbed him on it.
Yeah, because that's why she shouldn't be there in the first place. His first capitulation was keeping her, and this is what she. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's absolutely possible that she orchestrated this to make him look bad, and it will not be the last time.
I'm glad he had the fortitude to continue to call it a snowball fight, and that he wasn't broken down to begin saying the adults were throwing asphalt chunks at our brave men on the line.
He hasn't said anything like, we all need to respect the NYPD. I mean, he said things like, the hardworking people of the NYPD have helped get us going after the snowball blah. Has he said anything like we should be more respectful? Or
no, he's avoided what I've seen. He's avoided the civility bullshit. I've seen him do like yes ands, like these folks help. When there's a blizzard, they're out there doing their job. We should we respect that they're doing their job. Pause. Those are kids throwing snowballs. So I think he's very good. He's good at this. He's good at this job. Yeah. But yeah, they set him up.
The most counter-revolutionary force in New York is the NYPD. If you're not willing to go to war with
you say it was Mondani, and I was gonna be like, I can't have this argument with you right now.
I'm too tired for that myself. No, I giving Zoran the benefit of the doubt, which I'm loath to do. The most counter-revolutionary force in New York is the NYPD. And if you're not willing to understand that clearly, and maybe he does, and this is the way
he does.
He's trying to play it. But so far, this is of all the things on his agenda, this is the thing that we need to fucking listen to.
Yeah, and I suppose a follow-up from last week is that Anthropic refused to remove its safety guidelines. Refused to remove its safety guidelines. So the Pentagon needs to find some new technology. But the good news is that Sam Altman was waiting in the wings.
Yeah, Sam Altman was jumping on the phone every 30 minutes. Has the deal fallen apart yet? I'm willing to make a deal. Fucking slime ball.
Yeah, I saw a funny joke that was like, so now that all of us have stopped using ChatGPT and are finding Claude for the first time, we are realizing our jobs will be replaced by yours.
Well, it's actually good.
I don't know, Claude. I mean, Claude's out. OpenAI's in.
Yeah, so Altman released a statement that was like, we've reached this agreement. It covers two important things to me, which is making sure there's not going to be mass surveillance or autonomous weapons. And immediately the White House was like, that's absolutely not true. The agreement allows everything that's legal, just like we wanted from Anthropic. We got it. So Sam Altman is a fucking line.
They're still putting out statements like as of, today's Monday. OpenAI is still trying to run PR on this.
Yeah.
Their models are still have these red flags around surveillance and, it's all, who are you going to believe here? Pete Hegseth or Sam Altman? What's your choice?
Yeah, I was reading an Axios story where Altman, like after the deal has been signed and it's clear that they're bleeding support, they're bleeding subscribers. I think there's been a lot of resignations. People are quitting and signing up immediately for Anthropic. He already knew what he was going to do. He already knew what the blowback would be. Now it's just a question of dealing with the consequences. So they putting out this story. Oh, we're updating the deal, and we're in negotiations to update the deal. There's gonna be no update to the deal.
That's all. Yeah, that's all brand management. What is the upside to work at OpenAI if you can go work at Anthropic?
So the other thing that the Trump administration did was they went ahead and declared Anthropic a supply line risk, which is something that's never been done to a U.S. company before. So no one who's government contractor can use Claude. So they're trying to kill kill Anthropic.
Legally, that's true, but you really think it's a risk for a company to now make this adjustment where they like pull out Claude and they put in a different AI, and maybe that, you know, he goes with the courts will agree and but law will be in 6 months and who will be in charge. So I bet you a lot of contractors are just like, what is a calculated risk?
Yeah.
We'll keep Claude.
Yep, that's true. It is quite a story.
It's already been, I mean, it is quite a story, and it's already been completely surpassed by the Iran war. So we're not even talking about
Right. That's kind of alarming because it is, the implications for this are like humanity. I mean, you could make the argument that it was only a matter of time. All this stuff was only a matter of time, and that the fact that material incentives caused OpenAI to completely fold on these things is much less notable than Anthropic bothered to try, since its stuff is going to happen anyway. But yeah, the implications of this are very far-reaching. And Sam Altman will go down in the annals of history of one of humanity's most grotesque monsters that ever lived.
I saw someone be like, these guys that are like obviously making the worst, most anti-human calculations, like Teal and Sam Altman. Maybe they're not human. Maybe they're like AIs from the future.
Yeah.
They're like anti-human humanoids that have come to destroy us.
It's like it's essentially like, yeah, Hitler's a bad guy, but did you hear about the guy who gave Hitler the nuke for money? Like, that guy's really bad. The other thing is, like, they're going to talk about now, it's going to be, well, whatever the law allows is what, but we already know that all these agencies have been lawless for a long time.
Yeah.
So the only safeguard to keep the NSA from basically doing whatever they wanted to with this stuff was the code itself. Because the law is going to be completely helpless.
That's part of this PR work that they're doing right now, where it's like, well, it's accepted that these are red lines that just exist in, you know, by the military themselves, so we don't have to safeguard it. Yep. All of that is just crisis comms and brand managers going overtime on, like, say everything. We'd pull out someone's sticks and confuse a narrative.
It's like Snowden. We just have to live in this universe where Snowden never happened. It's just completely memory hold.
All right, here's like kind of far from the front page Epstein piece of news.
He's alive.
I think he's alive, and I think she's not in prison. But
oh, really?
There was a deep fake that had like her on the streets in like Montreal, and it was obviously a deep fake.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the woman they have in jail is her. But we're not going to get into that. I also don't think.
Damn.
I do think that was Jim Carrey, even though his face was strange. But I think it was him. If we want to talk about that. But no, we're not going to talk about people's weird faces. What we are going to talk about is Senator Ron Wyden is investigating a 69-page memo detailing what is called Operation Chain Reaction, which suggests that Epstein and 14 co-conspirators were also being tracked for international drug trafficking and money laundering. And that was essentially the investigations were halted and it has been covered up.
Halted by who? They don't know.
OCDETF's chain reaction investigation of Epstein officially concluded in 2025. Oh, because the Trump administration dismantled the entire task force.
No fucking shit.
Okay. It was purged. Yeah, they zeroed out the task force's budget.
No shit.
The DEA memo, marked sensitive but unclassified, was amongst files released. The memo from 2015 refers to DEA Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force's probe nicknamed Chain Reaction. It noted that the case was opened in 2010 in New York. And then it just stops. The fact that Epstein was under investigation by the DOJ's OCDETF task force suggests that there is an ample evidence indicating that he was engaging in heavy drug trafficking and prosecution as part of cross-border criminal conspiracy. It is incredibly disturbing, and it raises serious questions about how this was handled. Because there's evidence it was happening, and then there's evidence, and it just stops.
Why is that not bigger news?
You know, my guess is that Trump didn't stop it because he's pro-Epstein as much as he stopped it because he needed a few $100 million for his ballroom.
Yeah.
Like, he's just doing money management.
Or his bar. Barr was doing his buddy a favor, didn't even tell Trump about it.
I think anything about Epstein that's actually like feels concrete or is beyond like the drama of
who's in the files and how many times they
no one's covering.
I agree.
And I think it's very, very purposeful, and I think it's very, very disgusting. But like it's like, I don't know if it's almost like we are all the sensation. It's like all the sensationalism of it and no content.
Yeah.
And all of that lets everybody off the hook because we just live in such a broken, patriarchal, disgusting culture that everyone's like, we're not really, no one's going to do anything.
Yeah, it's like, it's a way to acclimate you without giving you a smoking gun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but these seem like smoking guns. I mean, they're like.
Right, but that's just why they're not, like you're saying, that's why they're not, that's why we said we're talking about Prince Andrew.
Right. It's not a bad point. All right. How about before we get into some international affairs?
Oh, did something happen?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to wait for me. You'll have to wait for me to cover it in headlines. Have you heard about the Freedom 250 Grand Prix?
I have not heard about the Freedom 250 Grand Prix.
I mean,
I have no idea what that is. Is that a car?
You live in a leftist internet bubble.
I guess so.
Trump has announced the IndyCar race will come to DC streets for for America's 250th birthday. This is the first motor race ever held on the National Mall. It's a $250 million spectacle that's being fast-tracked via Trump executive order, bypassing all standard environmental and historical preservation reviews. So we can have, I guess, Indy cars, street racing on the National Mall.
It's like bread and circuses, but the bread is too expensive to afford, so you just get the circus.
It's the circus.
I mean, what? Like, this is the Make America Great Again, is to have Indy cars drive.
They're like skidding by the Lincoln Memorial, like smoke and like corporate logos. Like
they one loses control, like crashes to the Washington Monument.
Wait, this is in the midst of a potential government shutdown and like wars over oil.
That's crazy. I mean,
your bread and circuses.
Yeah. My God. I mean, can you say that America deserves any better?
No, I think that's what we deserve. Not us.
Oh,
the people are trying. Some people are trying.
But
how are they going to have spectators on the National Mall to watch cars? That's like a security nightmare.
And they're fucking pull next. We should do jet skiing. We could do a rodeo in front of the White House.
Okay. So the Cuba blockade is really fucking bad. They're saying that they're about 2 weeks out from having no fuel.
Yeah.
Nobody's
use anything except for like emergency.
I feel like we should talk about it only because the actual news coverage of it is very quiet. Yep. I mean, they're choking out this nation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like barely hitting most people's feeds. Other Caribbean countries are supporting them as best they can, but they're causing a real humanitarian crisis very quickly in Cuba. And most calculations are saying they're gonna be in very dire shape in less than 2 weeks. Air Canada's canceled all their flights. A lot of people are evacuating all their people, they're ceasing tourism and getting people out, including Russia, which of course makes the crisis worse. And
my honest feeling is that the Cuban people have suffered on behalf of the international working class movement for a long time without much to show for it at this point, honestly. And I don't think they're going to continue to choose to do so.
But what are they going to choose? They're going to choose
to capitulate.
Volunteer regime change?
It won't be regime change because that's what this Trump proposition is. We don't care about your fucking regime. You can torture yourselves. You can light each other on fire. Whatever you want to do is fine. But you're opening the country to foreign investment and pillaging by U.S. companies, or you're all going to die. And I think that they will say we're going to keep the regime intact, but we'll liberalize the economy somewhat if it gets the blockade to stop. I don't think they will decide they have much of a choice. I could be wrong. I mean, they certainly have a lot of history being resilient in the face of these kinds of pressures, but we're several generations along now, and I don't think that there's is there any sign if you're sitting there trying to figure out how to feed your kids in Cuba and there's no sign that the revolution is not only growing in Cuba but spreading to other islands? How long are you doing this?
Also worth mentioning, a speedboat attacked Cuba last week and was sunk. The Guardian, this is a few days after the breaking news, The Guardian says, adventurism has had its day. Speedboat shootout leaves Miami's exiled Cubans bewildered. With the subhead, few clues as to how 10 heavily armed men intercepted on a stolen speedboat came together from across Florida or what they hope to achieve. So this is exactly what it sounds like. Apparently, there was some bizarro masterminded plan by ex-Cuban Florida idiots who armed themselves, got on a speedboat, sped towards Cuba as an act of war.
Because that was, no one had just manned up enough to strap a AR-15 to their chest and liberate Cuba yet. So these guys had decided that the time had come for someone to be bold enough to make it happen.
They got really close to shore. They started firing on the border agents, the Cuban border agents, and the border agents shot back. And they killed 4 and wounded 6. The men were dressed in camouflage, armed with assault rifles, handguns, homemade explosives, ballistic vests, and telescopic sights, and in possession of a significant number of containers bearing the symbols of a counter-revolutionary organization. So these are like straight up militarized nationalist terrorists who I guess just felt like, like no one had thought of this before. I guess we'll just do it.
Yeah.
And it didn't work in their favor. And even the U.S. government's like, well, we don't need to talk about that one.
Yeah.
It's like we're choking this country.
They got a little carried. We love the spirit, but they got a little carried away.
They're like the Trump administration's like actively undermining this country and looking for an opportunity to like overthrow it. And the Cubans killed Americans, and we were like, it's fine. We'll just keep it moving.
These 10 guys thought that they were going to be the new government. They're going to like proclaim themselves the dictator and his cabinet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do wonder if any of Marco Rubio's distant relatives were on the boat. It's got a lot of cousins. Okay. Big news. The United States and Israel attacked Iran this weekend, including hitting a girls' school and murdering, I've seen conservative estimates of 150, mostly schoolgirls killed. In addition to killing schoolgirls, they also killed the Supreme Leader, Khamenei, and a bunch of like second, thirds. They hit some meeting.
More than a couple, Trump said.
More than a couple. And then Iran struck back by hitting U.S. military bases in nearby countries and Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the U.S. and Israel is now doing another round of striking Iran.
Right.
And we're in this like back and forth of whatever this is.
Yeah.
They confirmed 6 U.S. military casualties as of reporting today.
Yeah.
And Trump was like, he literally said like, yeah, it's terrible. And there'll be more because that's the way it is. But we grieve. It's like, oh, that really fills me with like patriotism and empathy. Like I really feel like he really feels for those families.
Yeah, he really he surely doesn't see them as like lawn furniture that he's willing to sacrifice.
I guess I don't know. I think that the response by the other politicians about this has probably been one of the worst things to watch. Both the other Republicans with their idiocy showing up at the Sunday morning shows and being like, it is regime change. It's not regime change. It's a war. They deserved it. They were about to hit us. I mean, just like saying anything. It's like all the things. They're contradicting each other. And then the Democrats all being like, yeah, well, I'm really glad that guy's dead. And I'm pretty glad that we are doing it. But don't like Trump. So maybe can I have both those things to be true?
Right. I saw a tweet that was like the dual belief of Trump is horrible, but we're kind of glad that we're bombing Iran is held by maybe 1% of the U.S. population.
And they're
like,
all elected officials?
They're all elected officials. Yeah. Definitely going to win the election with this kind of stuff. One of the most popular planks of Trump's thing is we're not going to start any wars. And he fucking wins on that, betrays it, immediately is called a hypocrite and a liar. And the Democrats, all they can say is, look, of course war is necessary. Yeah. We all agree.
Yeah, we could dunk on him, but we love it. We love what he's doing here. Yeah. This was, according to the commander-in-chief, these airstrikes were so successful, so good at killing, that they also killed their, quote, second or third place is dead. These are people that they are not just who Khomeini would have put it as their second and third. These are people that in the negotiations, the U.S. in internal dialogues and in negotiations, were considering these possible outcomes of desired regime change. They killed them.
Yeah.
This is also the second time in a year that Trump has had his real estate development bro and his nephew in negotiations with state leaders, not just Iranian state leaders. The Omanis were there, like, state leaders, middle of negotiations, just started bombing.
Yep.
I mean, this is like career international diplomacy people must be like feeling like it's just the world's on fire.
Yeah, like almost like it's a strategy to make it impossible for the United States to ever negotiate anything again. Yeah. I mean, there's this angle of like the individual psychology of Trump, which appears to be one, he has never, and I guess will die before he ever is held accountable for anything he's ever done.
Apparently. Accountability is dead in this culture, I think.
It is.
I see it in micro ways in my life as well. I think accountability is just not real.
He's at every turn he's been like, let's just go for it. At every turn, he seems to fucking get away with it. I mean, they got away with January 6th. They weren't even punished for that. They lost power after January 6th, and they still didn't pay anything for that. So all they've done is train him that like the harder and more deranged he gets, the more he gets away with everything. In this case, it also seems like I think he actually believed Obama and everyone else was a bad negotiator because he's like, why didn't they just do a lot more threatening and then they would get whatever they wanted? I don't get it. And of course, that doesn't work.
Right.
And it didn't work with Iran. And I think that they were legitimately puzzled. Like Witkoff's saying, we don't understand. It's because they're so fucking stupid. They thought everyone is as big a coward as they are.
Right.
So of course they would capitulate.
Yeah. I mean, their negotiating position was surrender now or else. And they wanted them to give up things that, like, the country, I was listening to something this morning or reading about it. It was like, but they negotiated that they were allowed to enrich. They just couldn't hold it because you can't stockpile it. Because when you're stockpiling it, that's when it becomes weapons.
Yeah.
So they had basically negotiated that they could enrich as long as they got it out. They didn't stockpile it. So they would send it to Russia. It would come back and whatever it needed to be.
Right.
And fine. Do you really want the Iranians and the Russians like sending enriched uranium all over the world? I don't know what you want. But they had invested a ton of money and infrastructure in that operation, because that was agreed upon that they could do that, and they had dialed back everything else. I mean, if you're taking them at their word, but there are inspectors that also were like, that's what's happening. And they were like, you can't do that anymore. And they had asked in the negotiations started to say, okay, we'll can dial back on that, but we're not going to get rid of every single defensive missile system we have. It was like they were going to force them to give up everything.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not going to be in a good negotiating position when you ask for everything.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to wonder if this is the negotiating position of the United States, to what end? What are they looking to accomplish here?
Well, my thing is that this, like, the reason why this is popular with the Democrats is this is within the logic of U.S. empire, this makes a lot of sense, which is why it annoys me to no end when I hear, one, this is supposed to be a distraction from Epstein. I mean, maybe Trump personally hopes that that's a secondary outcome of this, but did McCain want it to be a distraction from Epstein? I mean, Harris was talking about bombing Iran. Did she want it to be a distraction from Epstein? All these people want this, but because it's such a stupid idea.
Yeah.
So the other thing that drives me fucking crazy is, well, this is all Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is actually the president of the United States. This is happening because Netanyahu has like compromat on Trump and has forced him to do this.
Yeah, he's really in charge. Netanyahu's really in charge of the entire U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah, somehow during Trump's first term, they didn't have the compromat. I guess that only happened, in January? He got the compromat. I mean, and then Netanyahu's wanted to do this for 20 years. So
you think that the U.S. wants to do this?
I think that it makes a lot of sense for the United States to do this. China imports 70% of its oil. The United States does not remain the global hegemon without control of the world's oil supply. Period. The end. Almost all of the things that we do, our ability to print money almost endlessly to get out of crises, our ability to hold other countries hostage, like Venezuela and Cuba, for example.
Yeah.
The
Oil.
The stuff that powers our giant military it's not solar powered, folks. The biggest consumer of oil in the world is the U.S. military.
Sure.
Completely dependent on controlling the oil supply. And in the same way that China's decided that their only shot at remaining in a what might be called a multipolar world is control of rare earth minerals. Partially because they need green energy because they don't have as much oil.
You're saying
whereas
they have the U.S. actually has quite a bit of oil.
The U.S. has a bit of oil. We are a net exporter of oil, so we consume less than we produce. We're actually one of the top 3 fossil fuel exporters in the world, behind Saudi Arabia and sometimes Russia. But more than that, we also control all the places that China has to import its oil from.
Right.
2 of its main oil trading partners.
Venezuela and Iran.
Correct. So this is the U.S. empire trying to preserve its primacy for another 100 years.
So this is just putting pressure on China.
It is, right?
So the play here is to put pressure on China and assume China won't react militarily. So get what you can get for as long as you can get.
That's right.
Slow them down.
Or say, like, look, we're willing to deal in oil if you're willing to deal in rare earth minerals or whatever else you wanted to talk about. But you're not going to get it by cozying up to our... the United States has a very, very strong lock in the Middle East, with the exception of Iran. I mean, after Iraq fell, Iran became the only other real thorn in the side of the American...
It's because Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And they just won't play it well. Right. Haven't you heard that? Have you not heard that phrase 6,000 times in the last 24 hours? Yep. So oil prices up 10% from Friday's close.
Yep.
Natural gas prices up 50% today.
Jesus Christ.
European gas prices, because Qatar halted their natural gas production for safety reasons, because that's also a play in the area.
Yeah.
So walk me through this. Trump's now saying this is a 4 to 5 week incursion.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he's always known this timeline. He is also not on the same talking points as Hegseth.
Nope.
Hegseth is like weapons, nuclear weapons, disarmament, and Trump is like, the people should get a new leader, but whatever.
Right, I thought we weren't doing this weak liberal shit where we care about democracy.
The talking points are a mess, but
Rubio too. You hear what Rubio said while we're on talking points? Rubio says it was an imminent threat because we knew that if someone attacked them, they were going to attack the United States. Who do you think he's fucking talking about?
Well, he's talking about Israel, but that's not how imminent works.
Isn't that what an insane thing to say? It's like we had to kill him because if someone attacked him, he was going to shoot at us. So we had to kill him.
And
what's his face? Can't tell Israel not to do that.
Lindsey Graham is all like, I don't believe in you broke it, you buy it. Basically, like, we break it, it's yours to fix.
It's your problem.
It's not our job to deal with your problem. Sorry that we, fucked it up over there, but now deal with your leadership problem. So a 4 to 5 week situation, and Iran is sort of doing the, like, you hit us, we're hitting everybody. Iran's like friends are like, do you gotta? Because like no one can travel. The airports are a mess.
Mm-hmm.
There's major tourism issues now. I mean, first certainly tourism issues. The price of oil is very jumpy right now. So it's been as high as up 10%, but that's not going to get better.
I'm not necessarily saying that this is all going to work out or that they did it in a smart way or this was the right timing for any of this stuff. Like, I think there's a very good chance that their hesitancy around doing this that's existed for 15 years, which everyone's wanted to do it and has sort of played toesy with it and then never really followed through. There's a reason for that. The Iran is formidable and the knock-on consequences are going to be really big. I think, actually, I would go so far as to say that one of the major lessons that the U.S. ruling class learned in Vietnam was that you really want your enemies to do this kind of thing. What you want to do is, you don't want to invade. You want to do what they did in Indonesia, which is get the local government to sort of take care of it for you, or find like local leaders on the ground to do it for you, so you don't have to commit your own military. And they kind of baited the USSR into invading Afghanistan, and it was a huge disaster for them. And the United States then makes this big mistake of invading Iraq instead of finding another way to deal with it. And the knock-on consequences have been quite bad for the United States. They overextended their military. There's a lot of money spent. They really didn't get what they wanted out of that. And, similarly, Russia is going to get a lot of what it wants in Ukraine, but it certainly would rather have gotten that through other means. And I think there's these sort of dumb guy ideas that, like, hard power is superior, soft power is like a weak thing that weak guys do. But a lot of cases, like the cost benefit analysis, don't favor like committing like this. If you look at a map, you'll see that.
No, I don't do that.
So something in the order of 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas and 25% of all seaborne oil trade flows down the Strait of Hormuz, which is where Iran is. Like, Iran is on one side of this strait, and the other side is Oman and the UAE. They have closed this strait, which means that there is no oil going to be flowing almost all of the oil ends up in India from that strait, and then from there all over the place. India's energy costs are going to skyrocket, which is going to skyrocket for everyone else. I mean, if you think about what the Houthis in Yemen were able to accomplish against the United States and Israel just a short while ago by fucking with the other strait on the other side of the peninsula, I mean, the implications for this are huge. And I think, like,
it's a huge country. It
really is. The geography, I think, impresses upon you how important the country is. And it's surrounded by mountains. It has a huge population. I think the 16th largest population of any country in the world. They have a modern military. These hypersonic, you watch these videos, and it's hard to tell what's real online right now because there's so much AI.
It's almost 100 million people in that country.
They have these hypersonic missiles that are dodging they have these like Iron Dome rockets that are supposed to intercept any kind of missiles or rocket attacks in Israel. And they have the same stuff for like U.S. bases. And these hypersonic missiles are dodging them at the last minute. They can't catch them. I think that the Trump administration, what I heard was the Trump administration was expected to do this for 48 hours, just pause, to ask the Iranians whether they're ready to capitulate yet. And when they said no, to do it for another 48 hours and sort of repeat that. Because they believed, like Bush did, they believed in the superiority of like this air power shock and awe thing. The mistake was invading, right? If we had just done the shock and awe, then Saddam Hussein would have capitulated. But they had to invade and replace. The calculus for Iran has now become, whenever you've done this crazy shit to us, we have done something symbolic in exchange to save face with domestic politics, to make it clear that we were not going to do nothing, but to also signal as strongly as we can that we are not looking for armed conflict. We are trying to de-escalate. So we're going to hit up like a little base. We're going to call you ahead of time and tell you it's coming. You have plenty of time to get people out, and then we're going to move on with negotiations or whatever else it is. Their calculation now is all of that has led us to a point where everyone thinks that we're too weak to defend ourselves. And we are too weak to defend ourselves with no casualties. We will suffer probably significant casualties, but it will be just as bad if we do nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, teaching these people lessons is the only thing that will stop them from continuously doing this forever.
Well,
and the worst part is, if every time we stop, they're talking about a negotiation, but what they're really doing is replenishing their anti-missile defenses.
Yeah.
So that when we start shooting again, they've restocked.
Yeah.
So we're not stopping.
Great.
So let's talk about a couple of weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, is in response to the fact that Trump is like, on Sunday, I was like, I'm ready to make a deal. And the Iranians said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So if your foreign policy is might makes right, then you have painted yourself into a corner where this is going to be what happens.
Yes.
They are going to strike back now. There were no calls and no sirens on the bases that got hit in the surrounding areas because they're playing it. It's like a different game now. And like, this is the game that Marco invited them to play. I mean, he talked to Munich about, you're no good to us if you're a weak ally. This is a world in which no one's good to anybody if all you can show is weakness.
Yep.
So now, I don't know, we have some bizarre war games happening. We are not at war because the Congress didn't authorize a war, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Even though every single U.S. politician, I guess, maybe if we did like a secret vote, would be like, yeah, we're at war. They all want it.
Yeah. They just want to make sure the paperwork is done properly first.
I do think that there's going to be stock market implications to this one. I don't think the American people very much want to be at a war.
I mean, if you're paying a lot more for oil at the pump to like oil futures traders or whoever else makes money off of that shit, you're not going to be spending on other stuff. So
right. Oh, I guess it's good timing that we're coming out of the winter.
I guess so. I mean, they want as many people to pay as possible. They want to hit all these bases. They want Saudi Arabia to pay. They want Arabs to pay.
Yeah.
They want to make it as costly as possible for everyone.
Today, Iran hit bases in Oman and Saudi Arabia. Oman is like their closest ally to like advancing this peace process, this negotiation process. They are not pulling any punches. They've already.
Well, the thing is, they are. That's the weird thing, though.
You think they are?
They
could do much worse.
They have not used what people suspect is their most advanced stuff yet, and there are some people who are like they were triumphalist about it. Like as soon as they attack Iran, Tel Aviv is going to be wiped off the face of the map. We haven't seen anything like that. We've got 6 service members killed, U.S. service members killed. I don't know what the damage has been like in Tel Aviv yet, but it's nothing like people who wanted to bang their chest and say, oh, Iran's actually a military superpower. But on the other hand, it's a lot weaker than we know they have more than this. So you have to wonder what the strategy is. Is like wear down missile defenses and then send the really good stuff? Or I heard one thing that was like, what we'll do is just really steady on Tel Aviv while we pick much more important targets that are closer. There's a very, very little likelihood, in my opinion, that they would be able to sink a U.S. aircraft carrier, for example. Those things can take an insane amount of punishment. They are for real at war now. They're not doing a symbolic exchange, but they're not doing the most that they can do. And the question, I think, for me is why? Like, what are they waiting for?
Well, they might not want to see what as most of the U.S. and Israel can do. You don't really want.
You think
we don't really
want
want
to attempt a nuclear bomb?
We do not want these 3 powers with these particular leaders doing as much as you can do.
Absolutely not.
That would be. I don't know what the constraining factor is on Israel and the United States at this point. I honestly don't know.
Like if they
their
just
handlers are
bombed, if they just carpet bombed Tehran, like.
I mean, I honestly think the constraining factor is like Trump is certainly not Pete Hegseth or Sam Altman.
Nope.
And I don't think Netanyahu has very good constraining factors either. So it might be that, I mean, this is probably the Trump calculation. They know they're outclassed, so how long are they going to last?
Yeah. Or they realize
if you're stacking your weapons up against Israel and the United States, you have less.
The other thing is that Trump, I think, again, we've said in the past, really does want to be remembered as a good guy. He doesn't want his legacy to be he butchered 10 million people in Iran.
No, he just wants to be known as a child rapist.
I don't think he wants to be known as that either.
And a multiple time failed businessman, child rapist, disliked by most people who've met him. Might have killed children and buried them in Epstein's Island. But he really wants to get those peace prizes.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's gross. All right. Well, wrapping up this happy edition of Horrible Headlines.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really good for y'all to subscribe to the podcast on your podcast app of choice. And like us and share us with your friends. Maybe everyone can commit to sharing us with one other person this week. Wouldn't that be a nice way to spread joy and communism around the world?
Mm-hmm.
Pick your favorite artifacts and talk to one person at a local cafe about us. That's all I'm asking.
Yep, we're on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and they're all doing pretty well. So yeah, check out the clips and share the reels.
If you like the parenting content, it's a little bit more. Instagram's doing well. If you like the John Paul content, TikTok's where it's at. I don't know. I think everyone should like and share, please. Done and dusted.
Done and done.
You're on the make, and you don't do regret. You're always out for what you can get. You think like a snake, and you ooze like a snail. Let the trail go cold as you swallow your tail. With your low rent skills and your heart of flint, telling your tales that are unfit to print. You're all weasel words, backed up by the boots, obsessed like the rest, with a promise of loot. Your pies will fade as you grow old. 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 You demanded the sea, it obey your commands. You grab at the land with both of your hands. But candles will burn, and time will reveal all that you've done and the money you steal. The suffering you're causing gives you no pause for thought. You got your claws in the dead summer's heart. Birds will return, as the birds always do. When they come home to roost, they'll feast on you. Your pies will fade as you grow. Your pies will fade as you grow. Your pies will fade as you grow. Your pies will fade as you
I love you.